It's a second consecutive loss now for Chelsea after that defeat to Manchester City as well.
What a crisis, losing to the champions of England, Manchester City, and to a very formidable Juventus side in Turin. Those are terrible results.
Well, but you say that, but this is a Juventus side who haven't actually got off to the best of starts this season.
No, true, but it's still a very difficult place to go, and they're still a formidable outfit. They may not be the best team in Italy anymore, and they may not be the Juventus that we close our eyes and think of back in the day, but they still have an element of a very imposing presence, and playing away to them is no given. So I look at those games and say, OK, the Man City game was a surprise to me. I didn't expect Chelsea to get beat. I forecast a draw because I thought they would perhaps cancel one another out. But people are going to paint this, I suspect, as some sort of, is this the first test for Thomas Tuchel? Maybe getting beat 5-2 by West Brom last season might be the first test. It didn't stop him from going on to win the Champions League, did it? I think I look at these two games and say good teams are going to play one another, and every now and again a good team is going to get beat. And it's the manner in which you get beat. I'm interested to hear that they're sort of waxing lyrical about how tired the players are, and Tuchel's falling into the same shtick to some extent as Pep Guardiola. Maybe you say, well, if a bunch of people are saying it, then there must be something in it, or maybe they're all a bunch of whiners, depends upon your point of view. But I don't look at this and say, whilst I spent only a small amount of time looking at that game, if you do look at the statistics, and I know that you can make statistics do anything, and 76 possession, if it's passive possession, doesn't mean that ultimately you should win the game. But I don't think you take anything from this and say, well, Chelsea are now going to get into a bit of a funk, and we're going to have a situation where possibly we're going to see the true colours of Tuchel. We've seen the true colours of Tuchel. It's called winning the Champions League, and we've seen them start. I don't think they've been brilliant in the way they've started. I think Lukaku coming in has given it a natural rise, and like all boats in the tide, they rise. And he will bring the rest of the team forward because of his offensive power. But I don't look at this and say, we need to worry about where Chelsea are. I still think anybody that finishes ahead of them in the Premier League wins the Premier League. And I still think there'll be a force in the Champions League. And if you go away to Turin and you're a little bit blunt and you don't take the opportunity there, you have 16 shots on goal, there's not enough quality. And, you look at the outlook and your manager talks about it in a very blunt way, about how he feels that the players weren't across it, weren't really where they needed to be. You look at it and say, well, OK, you put those two performances down to two very difficult games. I think Chelsea will continue to power forward. I don't think these are anything other than little pimples and bumps in the road for what will be a successful season for Chelsea. How successful, I'm not entirely sure. I think that depends upon whether they lose key players at key times and how potent Liverpool and Man City continue to be. And you notice that I don't include Man United in that particular
No, I think that's pretty clear that you don't think Manchester United are going to be in the reckoning.
And not because I don't want them to be, because I'm the greatest admirer of Manchester United. I watch these things like Fever Pitch on television on BBC Two, which pretty much is charting the rise of Arsenal and Man United in the Premier League and seems to forget everybody else. Cursory glance at Blackburn Rovers, but it's the Manchester United and Arsenal show. And to some extent, the Premier League was built around the Manchester United phenomenon. And they were the poster boys for the Premier League, and that is why I judge them by such harsh standards. And Man United fans should judge them the same, because it's the same Man United fans that stopped Sky B buying Man United with such passion should have the same passion for wanting to see their team dominate English football as it once did before. And that's why I'm so, not vitriolic, but so focused on what Man United aren't doing, rather than the argument that they are building and they're building and they're building and they're building. And looking at Chelsea, well, Chelsea's just run a different way. It's just built on a different model. It's built upon changing managers every 5 minutes if it suits the owner to think that they've run out of legs in that particular manager, and built upon spending enormous amounts of money on whomsoever they want to purchase.
Yeah, it's a different ethos, different philosophy. The two different clubs.
The centre of it is people winning things. It would seem that Chelsea's pursuit of winning something has no boundary. It doesn't have sentiment attached to it. It doesn't have relationship. It doesn't have what you won previously. It has get the best winner in, get him to win something, and when we think he's waning, get rid of him and get the next guy in. That doesn't seem to be Man United's model anymore.
Jim White and Simon Jordan, Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.